really dive the backline and look for those kinds of kills, or at least secure the kills.
Rival looking to even this series up at 1 apiece. This is a best of 5, so Obey not on the verge of moving on to tomorrow's finals. Still have to worry about winning 3 games here. But Rival, you in these sort of best of 5 scenarios, Vedium, you don't want to fall behind 2-0.
Yeah, mainly I want to focus on Rival. I think chose second pick in this situation. Normally teams would opt for that first pick, but Rival seems to be confident in the second pick. I think they want to try to do something similar to what Obey drafted when they had that second pick.
Fafnir is banned away by Rival and an immediate Osiris ban. Maniac just seems to look like a different player whenever he gets this god. He definitely struggled a little bit yesterday up against Dimmy in some of those lanes, but immediate pick of Osiris puts him right back in his comfort zone. I like this ban from Rival.
Early game, early god aggression. This is what Maniac is all about. Trying to look for any sort of advantage that he can to be able to start rotating to these team fights, maybe look for some invades on the blue or the speed buff. And not only does that hurt Deathwalker, but that's also going to hurt Ice Baby in the long run.
Right now waiting for Obey's second ban. Fafnir has been hotly contested among EU supports all season long. Obey also banned it away from Kalas in game 1, but they were in that second pick position. If you're on Obey right now, are you looking to first pick the Kernanos, Vedium?
Yeah, either that or I'd say Terra or maybe Kabrakan. It seems like they really do like the Terra, so that'll probably end up being their first pick. I expect something, maybe the Kernanos ban. They could be looking to, I think they're going to look to have Rival make the choice between giving them Terra or Kernanos. Oh, okay. So I'd say Obey's going to first pick Terra, and then Rival should be the ones getting Kernanos here, unless Obey's priorities are different than my own here. I
love the throwaway ban, but a good one on the Bologna, but it's going to be the Raven locked in first selection for Obey. I'm assuming this is in the jungle, Toli?
It could be. You know, you mentioned the Terra and the Kernanos, but we forgot about the Raven and the Chang'e that's still open for these teams. Now, Raven has been played in the jungle a lot by these European teams, so I don't expect both Raven and Chang'e necessarily for Obey Alliance, but to counteract that, Vulcan and Kernanos taken off the table.
I like these picks from Rival. Terra is the selection, most likely for Emilzy on Obey. Rival taking a page out of Energy's book, trying to pick Vulcan away from Pretty Prime instead of banning it, but it didn't work out for the defending world champs. Now, Wolfie a little bit more known for his Vulcan than, say, Yaman is, but this can put you in an awkward situation where your team is kind of maybe not forcing you, maybe you're the one asking for the pick, but it's like, hey, you've got to play this because we can't afford to let them have it.
And to counteract that, Obey Alliance locking in the Terra, this is a great god to go against a Vulcan. You can't get knocked up whenever you have your monoliths up. Not only that, you're going to be looking to really lock down this immobile mage. Sure, you have backfire, but it's not going to cover too much distance. The chase potential from Obey Alliance, just from those 2 gods alone, is good enough to maybe force out some relics.
Do you expect to see, oh, never mind. I was about to ask you what you expect to see in the Hunter role, but Nate answered that for us. Ataraxia selecting the Rom. You liked the Hui into the Kernanos. How do you feel about Rom matchup?
I would have expected the Hui. Really, I think that has the better matchup here, but Rama works very well too. I'd say Ataraxia is probably going to look to play a little bit safer. He could be aggressive considering he has the Terra ult, but I expect him to just farm out into that late game since Kernanos has that mid-game control.
Kabrakan, the selection right before the ban phase for Rival. Could be in the jungle or the solo. Deathwalker has had some success on the god. I believe that was one of their victories up against Luminosity, where he built the Warlock Sash after starting with Silver Breastplate. Like we talked about before the set even started, Deathwalker always known for testing the water in terms of new builds, no matter what he's playing.
It's a very interesting style to also go into the Silver Breastplate. You're getting a lot of protections. I think it's 35 to be exact, 200 mana, 10 MP5 for 950 gold. That's only 150 more than a starter item. So neglecting that, you're basically doing a great job still staying relevant in the laning phase, and that's a huge power spike.
Fenrir and Ra, the 2 bans right now between the 2 teams. Rival waiting on their second selection. Ra definitely one of Pretty Prime's go-tos whenever Vulcan is off the table. Could see a Thoth. We saw it from Wolfie in game 1. Pretty Prime can play a great one as well. Odin banned away here. Why do you think we see the Odin ban? Usually that's only against teams, or you only ban away whenever you've got a lot of healing on your team.
I really can't say. I'm also kind of confused about the Fenrir ban. I'd say, if anything, okay, honestly, I'm confused. EU has so many different picks compared to NA. I didn't expect the Ravana first pick. I thought they'd have different priorities, maybe the Terra, but they're just, it's
a different region out there. It's wild and dangerous.
We're really out here. so far in
They
day number
wildin' out.
3 in the second game, Obey versus Team Rival. But the Odin ban necessarily doesn't have to always negate the healing. There's no jumps on the side of Team Rival, just the dashes. So finding that nice cage from Obey Alliance would lock down those 3 gods. But the question is, where do they really put that Odin? Terra's going to be support for Obey. It's between Robin Jungle and Robin Solo. So more than likely, that would be an Odin solo if they were to get that option.
Nemesis, the final ban there for Obey. They believe that Cabrakan is going into the solo lane for Deathwalker, but they leave open Susano and Hunbats, the 2 gods that have been heavily prioritized in the jungle. Instead, elect to ban away the Nemesis. A lot of control on Rival's draft. That's the first thing that's jumping off the page for me here.
You have the Fear No Evil, the Wild Hunt, and then you're going to have somebody locked in that Cabrakan wall with the Earth Shatter coming from the distance.
That's a lot of damage, a lot of lockdown, and Obey's got to find an answer for it. Waiting for their final 2 selections. Robin could still be in that solo lane. Maniac likes the early game pressure gods, and Robin certainly fits that bill, but the flavor of the weekend seems to be Robin in the jungle. The Morrigan likely in the mid lane here for Pretty Prime. Has played it before in that mid lane, and Xing Chen gonna round it out. Surprised to see Maniac go back for Xing Chen, because I remember hearing him talk after their energy set. He didn't feel like he had a big impact on this Guardian.
No, not at all. But the fact that we see Pretty Prime with the Morrigan is going to allow a lot of aggression here, being able to take out Hun Bats, Fear No Evil on the side of Obey Alliance. Now there's a decent amount of control from the squad out of Obey as well.
Athena gonna be the last selection there for Kalas in that support role. Vedium, what do you think?
I really like Rival's draft. I think having the Athena taunt into the Kernanos root follow-up is going to be great for baiting objective this game, and I think Rival will take this one.
Totally.
I got to give it to Rival. I like the Athena. I like the Kernanos. I'm giving it to Rival. 1-1.
Both were right game 1. Will they be right game 2? Let's throw it to the casters to find out.
Thank you very much. Analysts, you know, this Morrigan pickup, I love it from Obey Alliance, because Prime's like, you're going to take away my Vulcan. I'm going to play the one guard that lets me play Vulcan.
That's a good point, because he can still use those Vulcan ults to the backline as well from himself, and then he doesn't have the issue of being Vulcan, because he's still got stealth to escape afterwards if he needs to. The one thing I see from Rival's comp, though, that Obey are going to have to be careful of, there's not enough beads in the game to deal with the draft that Rival has here.
Goodness, yeah.
So many things that can force beads here. Cabrakan with multiple stuns and CCs, Fear No Evil, taunts. This is going to be a problem that Obey have to recognize, but the way these team fights have been going, they're not necessarily sporadic. They're all focused on just objectives. So if Obey can just play around the big AoE team fight that Rival have with all these beads burners, then they could be okay with the draft they've got here.
I think the Deathwalker solo Cabrakan is going to be the big talking point for Rival here. You know, against Luminosity yesterday, it was just so hard to deal with. They dumped so many ultimates into him, they just couldn't kill him. I was talking to Barracuda earlier, and he said he's never seen a tankier Cabrakan, one that's more unkillable.
And some of that was down to the Warlock Sash at the beginning of the game. I do like the adjustment from Deathwalker here as well, because you remember yesterday where we saw him starting off with Breastplate Tier 2?
Yeah.
He was looking for the extra mana. I spoke to him off air as well. He was saying it's basically like a Watcher's Vanguard combined, because it gives the mana regen you want from Watchers, the extra mana as well, but also the tankiness to be able to not be too bad in lane. But going for Vanguard here is a better idea when you're going to be dealing with Maniac, who's going to be doing this dot damage consistently in the lane.
There's going to be that Raven jungle for Captain Twig as well. Something we've heard a lot about and seen a fair bit of this land. Just very strong pick, so much control, especially in the early game.
Now on that right-hand side here as we tune in with the duo lane, what you saw is the Rival went aggressive, but the pings came up to the mid laners to warn them that the mid lane composition of Obey were about to rotate to right, so they couldn't go for the invade, so they've had to default to go into the wave instead, where they do have superior wave play.
It's going to mean, though, Obey can invade the speed buff of Team Rival, and with a Raven and a Morrigan in the early game, should be fairly easy to clear. Kalas and Emilzy taking a lot of damage here, a lot of poke from these Hunters. Ataraxia slowing down that Athena, but a good route there from Vote should save him.
Game of baits though between the two teams, and that's the trick here. But the problem is that Vote got body blocked to high heaven by Emilzy, and those archers were just wiggling away on them. So he forced the meditation out earlier from Kalas than he would like to for himself, and now Vote's in a bit of a tricky position.
And it forced the beads as well, so double relic burn there from the duo lane of Rival, and Ataraxia, we know that he's a type of hunter that will punish a mistake like that.
But he's not hurt them too much because they've still got the wave clear advantage here, Rival, so they're going to be able to sustain back up. Watcher's Gift for Kalas is going to be an easy one to resustain, and meanwhile Kernanos will be okay for the time being. Right hand side though, we did see some more aggression.
Deathwalker taking a lot of poke here from Twig and from Maniac. Captain Twig taking a tower shot there, but he's forcing Deathwalker back to base very, very early.
Does have a teleport though, Deathwalker, so he shouldn't really miss too much experience in this lane whatsoever. It is going to be a little bit awkward now though for his next backing where he may not have the teleport available. We may see Deathwalker stay around a little bit longer than he would do normally to make sure that he can get his teleport available to come back to lane, or he's going to have to manually walk back. If Maniac can recognize that, then he can cause a few problems with him, with proxy farming potentially and keeping him pinned in that lane.
Well, even once he hits level 5, he is going to have a teleport online for himself, as well as that huge Whirlwind of Rage and Steel ultimate. He can teleport into a team fight, whereas Deathwalker is forced to walk from the other side of the map, and that big ultimate can burn so many beads, or even pick someone up and throw him back into an ult from Pretty Prime.
Who you got for this one, Husey? Who you feeling?
I think Obey's just kind of, they play the map a little bit better. I think Rival's a tremendous team, but I think they're still trying to catch up to Obey.
I can see that as well. I mean, this is funny to see that Obey have done so well for themselves this split. When you think about the fact that they had 2 roster changes after the World Championships, their solo laner and support joining this roster, and they fit in so easily that there's been the transitions actually improved them. They're winning more games against teams like Energy, who they couldn't be at the World Championships.
Well, I mean, Maniac's played with Captain Twig before, so there's not that much unfamiliarity there. And then, I mean, Emilzy's such a smart player that everyone in Europe respects him. Ataraxia taunted in there. Emilzy dashing forward, taking some damage there from Vogue, but again, he just knows his character so well. He's not afraid to do things like that.
Look at the patience out of Obey in that dual lane, though. They realize that Callus' taunt isn't going to be maxed at this point at only level 4. He'll more than likely be going for the more damage options if potentially, and you can see that in the build right now, which means that taunt doesn't last very long. So as long as you don't get all in and you're not going to die from it, you can take a taunt and not be forced to use the beads.
Would it have been better to invest another point into the taunt, since that boat has got so much wave clear inherently in his kit?
It can be, but the problem is that now Terra's hit level 3, level 4, her wave clear goes up even more.
Deathwalker in a lot of trouble. Here comes the Defender of Olympus out, but Deathwalker's still healthy. There's the Vulcan ultimate coming over the wall from Wolfie. Who's it going to hit? It's going to hit Prime, but Deathwalker still in trouble. He still picks up First Blood onto Prime. Wolfie picks up Twig. Rival turning this around. Deathwalker is still alive.
Beautiful play coming out there from Team Rival to turn that on its head. Ice Baby's Fear No Evil was on the right mark to stop Obey from really making anything happen there. You saw Prime on the Morrigan turning towards the hub bats, but he still couldn't survive the fight. Rival focused him down first as well, recognizing that it's an opportunity to pick him up here. And I like the idea that came out from Obey there, but they're going to get heavily punished for this now, with also the fight going the way of Rival, as well as these buffs stolen.
A beautiful Vulcan ult as well there from Wolfie, hitting 3 targets over the wall from pretty much maximum distance.
Yeah, and that was just a big old ultimate that comes to the rescue once again. Vulcan, like we said in game 1, Wolfie and Pretty Prime are probably the 2 best Vulcan players in Europe, and we get to see them both play it in this set, which is fantastic.
Now we're seeing Rival for pretty much the first time with a little bit of an advantage in terms of gold and experience. We have to see what they can do with this lead, where they can punish Obey the way that Obey punished them with even just a small lead last game.
Yeah, the question is now, is it going to be all around the Gold Fury once again? Because the objectives is where it's really the fight is over right now. That engagement on the right-hand side was all focused around the speed and blue invades coming out from Obey, looking to pressure and look to try and get an advantage on that right-hand side of the map, which got turned on its head.
What I love as well from Team Rival is that they took away the blue buff from Maniac. He does have a mana chalice, so it's not the worst thing in the world for him, but Jingten, a very mana-dependent solo laner.
Definitely, but the chalice will just keep him top. That's all the chalice is really good for over in the solo lane. Does come in handy a lot of times when you know you're going to lose the blue buff, or there's a high chance you'll lose the blue buff consistently. Get a chalice, make sure you don't have to worry so much and be too upset. You are going to get behind in levels, though, if it continues to happen, but it doesn't mean that you have to continuously have to recall back to base to resustain.
What I liked there from Rival was that it was a big counter engagement from them. Obey were the one that initiated that fight, went all in with a Terra's Blessing. The Defender of Olympus came out from Carlos, though, to save the life of Deathwalker, and that was so huge. The damage mitigation you get from that ultimate definitely saved the life of the Cabrakan.
And this time around, I expect to see Callus maybe have a bit more of an impact in this game than he did the last set. You saw that he was playing the Capri, he had to just sit back, look for the ultimates, but there wasn't many for him to really do because he was CC'd down, so he couldn't get that Capri revive off and available for his team. This time around, though, Callus playing this Athena means he could be anywhere on the map and join a team fight and make an impact.
And that's what I think Rival really need to happen, because they were caught out so many times 4v5 or 3v5 last time. With their support being able to be pretty much anywhere is going to be huge. And I love Deathwalker on this Cabrakan as well, because with his one, he can just he'll just press the W key, sprint right at the face of the backline, which is something Rival couldn't do last game, and what Obey did to them.
Going back towards the mid lane as well, when you have a look at Wolfie, who's playing the Vulcan here, we mentioned that once again, they both play the Vulcan, but their build choices are completely different between the two. We saw Prime go for Doom last game. This one, it looks like Spirit Desolation is the focus coming out from Wolfie, as they're looking for the pick on Ataraxia. They do force his ultimate there.
They force his ultimate, they force his beads, and they force the Terror's Blessing as well. But Vote's in a little bit of trouble now, stunned out by Emilzy. Where's the follow-up damage for Obey? Good taunt there from Kalas to taunt in 2. Ataraxia can't even get close to Vote. He's already used his snipes as well, so Vote's going to be able to walk away.
So the collapse onto Ataraxia there was very good out of Rival. They got the ability, they got the ultimate out, and they also got the beads down. But the difference is when they decided to disengage there, Rival were a little bit split. Vote went to the left of the Gold Fury, everybody else went through the Gold Fury path. You get split from your team like that, that's when teams will eye in on you and see red like a bull in a china shop and be after you every single time.
Kalas dashing in, does get the taunt onto Captain Twiggy, forces overhead kick. There's the Mystic Rush as well. A lot of damage coming out now. Excellent. Double Hunbatzel. No one can do anything. Wolfie in a lot of trouble. Defender of Olympus coming out, but Maniac says not today. There's the spin to win, and now Kalas is in some trouble, but Deathwalker's here, and he's dealing damage. Ice
Baby, meanwhile, is just trying to take the speed buff, but Captain Twig knew about it. They do steal away the speed after losing Wolfie from the mid lane here. Deathwalker's still under pressure thanks to the CC chain of Emilzy, and in comes Ataraxia as well.
Oh my goodness, so much damage out of that Cabrakan though. Kalas picks up the kill, but Ataraxia's going to clean up the Guardian. Ice Baby in a little bit of trouble here, stuck in Obey's jungle, and they're going to chase him down here. Ataraxia, if he could find the right path, might be able to find this Hunbats.
Vote is just trying to buy time here and give an exit for Ice Baby. And it looks like Obey just want to fall back. They don't want to continue to fight there. They were worried about the rotation out of Kurdanos. The ultimate was available for Vote there to try and influence that fight and maybe turn it on his head. So Obey, don't go overly aggressive for Ice there. They'll just take the win and fall back.
So we're seeing Captain Twig pick up this Watcher's Gift yet again yesterday in their set against Energy. That was something he really prioritized on his jungles.
Does give you protections. Like this, these are the upsides of this. You're going to be around the mid lane farm a lot of the time. More than likely, you might see your mid laner wanting to stack up items like Warlock Slash, Book of Toth, Doom Orb. So you're not going to be wanting to take the last hits anyway. But getting the assist means that you're going to get a heal with the mana and health that you get. Watcher's Gift is amazing for that. But not only that, you're also going to be able to stay in a little bit longer and also get bonus gold for having a Watcher's Gift. So it means your gold income is technically going to be higher, but is it worthwhile to invest 800 gold into it is the real question a lot of people are asking for that stage of the game.
It's similar to the argument with Boomba's Mask on a mid laner. The difference is Boomba's is only 500, as he said. Yep. Watcher's is 800, but I guess it means for Twig, whenever he's around a jungle camp, he's going to get healed no matter if he's the one killing it or if it's the rest of his team killing it.
Exactly, and bonus gold when he doesn't kill it as well. Take that into account. That bonus gold does add up, and trying to equal things out a little bit with this Watcher's Gift. It's not going to be completely cost efficient, but it's giving enough protections and things. This Gold Fury though from Rival, cheeky.
Terra's Blessing comes out, there's the ultimate. Rival, get it. Captain Twig doesn't take any damage there thanks to his overhead kick. Ice Baby in a lot of trouble, but he flips out. Ataraxia though is perfect with the snipes.
And now Wolfie and Kalas both have to get away, but Emilzy's not giving up just yet with Twig in tow. They do want to continue to pressure, but however, you saw mid lane Pretty Prime is still sat there trying to pressure that, so they're not going to be able to find any more in terms of kills, but they will get a purple buff as well. So in the end, it is in Rival's favor with them getting a Gold Fury. One and a purple buff for the Gold Fury. I'll take that.
Yeah, it's a nice play there. Get themselves a nice little spike in gold. You can see it reflected there on the grass. And this is what it looked like last game for Obey. Deathwalker tossed back there. Defender of Olympus coming out. Maniac might have overcommitted here. A lot of damage. He's walled in. No escape for this Xing-10, but Pretty Prime is here, and he's looking to stun out Deathwalker. Can he find him, or is Deathwalker going to be the one that's able to get away? So much damage, and the walls from Emilzy are good as well, just to trap him in. A one-for-one trade there.
The dual aim from Obey is playing fantastic right now. Emilzy's making such an impact in these fights, and no one's really looking at it, but these walls just keep being the perfect setup every single time when you think there's a chance for Rival to get away from a fight. Emilzy's there with the root like that, all the walls that follow happen afterwards.
Looking back towards his mid laner builds, pretty similar between the two. Prime does have a Boomba's Mask online, the only difference, but otherwise their items are even across the board, and that's not so great for Wolfie.
No, it's not necessarily the best thing in the world for Wolfie to be even right now. Obviously, Pretty Prime has that level lead as well. The bigger and stronger Prime gets in this mid lane, though, the more important and more useful he can be in these team fights when he switches into other characters. It doesn't matter about what abilities that Rival have leveled on their gods. It's all about how big Obey is and how many of his abilities overall have been leveled to max to make an impact.
Portal Demon looking like it started up here by Team Rival. Captain Twig and Maniac are in the areas where Kalas actually going to pick up a kill onto Twig. The Fire Giant was proc there as well. well, so Kalar's going to get knocked up. But still, a nice little pick-off there for Team Rival.
Yeah, surprised Twig got caught out there. Obviously, we didn't get to catch it, unfortunately. But it's surprising to see him just fall down there. More than likely, it's Vulcan ult down, Fear No Evil down. So I can guess what happened there.
Yep. Yep. Poor Captain Twig. 0-3 in this game, actually. Very surprising to see on what you normally expect to be a pretty safe jungle pick.
And I think that's one of the reasons we're seeing Athena here, okay? Because Rival seem to have a way to deal with Rav, and I think it's going to be the Athena, because if you've noticed Callus a couple of times here, he waits, he dashes onto Captain Twig, he tries to force the overhead kick, and when the overhead kick is used, that's where the taunt comes in, and it confirms a lot of damage from Rival. So what you're going to have to see from Twig now is he's going to have to play the mind games too of not using his overhead kick, and just hope that he doesn't get taunted immediately, so he can use the overhead kick to escape later on.
Even if he's taunted and uses the overhead kick to escape the taunt, there's still so much CC available on the side of Rival anyway, so Kalas, even if he catches him with the taunt or not, it's a win-win situation.
And that's what we said at the start of the game, Husey, right? It's all about how many beads burners that Rival have and how Obey can play around that. Rival are always going to be looking to group up with 2 or 3 members to make sure there's multiple people that are going to be trying to force those beads every time. And the moment your beads are on cooldown, it means they can go even more aggressive in the next rotation.
This big start from Deathwalker has meant he's already able to get online a Warlock Sash. 18 stacks on that as well. Like we said in the set against Luminosity when they had this Warlock Sash Kabrakan, bit of a ticking time bomb.
Oh, definitely. And he's going to cause so many problems in the team fights because you don't necessarily want to focus the Kabrakan, but sometimes you do, especially when he's really swinging for the fences heavily with the extra damage he's going to have from that.
I mean, he's already been causing problems in team fights. In Blink's Ice Ice Baby. There's the Fear No Evil. Twig in a lot of trouble from downtown. Wolfie hits the shot.
And now Prime's having to run for his life too, but look at the focus onto this Robin. Hey, you want to play Robin jungle? We got you. We're just going to focus you over and over again. Twig's going to have to be very aware that they're after him now as Callus taunts a Milzy.
Knocked up there by Wolfie. Backfire as well is going to do a lot of damage here to this Terror. Forces out the Monolith and the heal. Here's Deathwalker. Hello, pretty Prime. You're my target. In goes the walls, but Prime turns into Hornbards. Forcing away with a Fear No Evil. Defender of Olympus comes out as well, just to save Deathwalker. So a little bit of a win there for Obey, forcing out that big ultimate, but Prime burnt his one as well.
Yeah, not really.
Longest cooldown in the game.
Not really a big win there for Obey at all, because look at the left-hand side as this has gone on. Because Ataraxia rotated to this fight, it's giving Vote Freeform, it's giving Rival a tower as well, and it's going to continue to allow them to extend their gold lead.
So I said at the start of this when I thought Obey had it because Rival's still trying to catch up. I think Rival's caught up.
Change your mind now?
Yep.
I think definitely the beads burners is the one thing that comes to mind in this game so far. But I love the way Rival have been playing this one too. The focus onto Twig, the one guy that has a better version of beads in one way because it doesn't have as long of a cooldown in the overhead kick. Focus him, take him out of the fight, and you don't have to worry about him anymore.
Is that going to be a Soul Reaver for Wolf, or is that going to be a Book of Todd? Actually, Twig forces the Mystic Rush, but still, that could be a Soul Reaver from Wolfie, and that could be a lot of trouble for Twig.
Now, the Soul Reaver does help out deal a consistent amount of damage to the front line. It's the extra burst that can help bring down a target. When you actually look at the draft Rival have here, the major burst they're going to be using is on Wolfie, and then they're going to have Kabrakan with that on top. Beads burnt latter actually in mid again. And like we said, just keeping on those beads timers, because pretty much I'm expecting to see them all on cooldown consistently. Right now, Pretty Prime's doing okay. We'll see when those beads get burnt.
Athena seems to be the sneaky Guardian pick of this land. You know, Athena generally falls out of favor when people learn how to play against her. She stays out for a while, then she comes back in. People are like, how do I play against Athena again? Because she can just do so much. As we see the Gold Fury, the second one of the game, formed to Team Rival. Portal Demon, though, in response from Obey. Deathwalker's trying to get in here to have something to say. There's the Dishwasher from Maniac, but the Portal Demon still procced, and it looks like Obey's going to get it.
Oh,
no, it's
Rival!
going to be Rival. Ice Ice Baby picks up Ataraxia. Maniac in a lot of trouble here in Dash's Vote. Vote gets the kill, and look at Emilzy trying to fight a monkey, but you're in his jungle now, baby.
Well, I tell you something, Husey. Game 1, it felt like picks and bans. It was all Obey that came out on top. Game 2, Rival's picks and bans have shown through in this game. They've managed to draft the right team comp to deal with what Obey sent their way. It put them in an awkward position because Pretty Prime going on the Morrigan. Yeah, he's got it in his God pool, but there wasn't many other options for him in the mid lane to deal with the amount of beads burners they've got. The one thing you can look for with the Morrigan is the extra escapability with that stealth to your name, but it's still not enough to keep Obey in this one right now. Rival have a huge lead at this moment.
Look at those graphs. That is a cliff that Obey have just plunged off, and waiting at the bottom is a very tanky and a very powerful Kabrakan. Deathwalker doing huge amounts of work there around that Portal Demon, just completely splitting Obey's focus.
And that fight around the Portal Demons, we see the Fire Giant started up here by Rival. That whole Portal Demon fight, Deathwalker was stood in the ward. Obey knew he was there, and Obey felt that they could deal with him at the same time as burst it down. That's why you saw Jingten come in for Maniac to try and CC chain Deathwalker, keep him busy. The problem was, we were only 15 minutes in, and that Hunter and mid laner did not have the damage output to bring it down in time.
Fire Giant there taken by Rival. Let's listen in as they try and take this tier 2 tower.
They're just for me.
Careful, careful, careful.
I'm gonna back ult,
Okay. Nice.
No, I got his Aegis.
Nice shot, nice shot.
We can push that though. By the way.
We can get this Phoenix.
Push Phoenix, and then we can go mid, guys. Push
Yeah.
Phoenix and mid.
Go mid.
Go mid.
We can kill anyone really.
Yeah. I'll just then. I got 2. Oh
Tower,
my
Phoenix,
god.
We can.
Phoenix first.
We can't.
No, let's push, let's back off.
Get right tower, and then back.
Right tower, back.
Okay.
Right tower, back off.
They thought the last game was one-sided.
Yeah, they thought last game was one-sided.
Fuck it, you know what, bro?
Kind of.
No, I don't know, dude.
Nice job, guys.
Rival very, very confident in themselves and their abilities there, but a smart call there not to really push in for the end. Just grab everything they can. 2 Phoenixes and a right-hand side tier 2 tower, and look at that lead. 15,000 experience, 14,000 gold.
So what the European teams have shown us here in this set, Husey, is that you do not give Kernanos and Vulcan to the same team.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens in game 3. Will they both get banned? Maybe they'll split the difference and one gets Kern and one gets Vulcan. We'll find out which one really is the true OP one.
It really seems like these games are being decided in picks and bans. Like, it just seems like this game, Team Rival, they adjusted really well from the last game.
Yeah.
They knew what they did wrong. They knew what they let through. They thought, okay, the Kebri pick, it's not really working out for us. Athena's a little bit better. And also, let's take away Vulcan from Pretty Prime.
Yeah, I mean, take it away from Pretty Prime, give it to Wolfie. That Vulcan needs banning, I feel. And at the same time, Kernanos is looking that way because both the 2 Hunters here today have had a great performance out of him so far. Game 1, Ataraxia went off and got most of the kills. And in Game 2, Vote's doing very comfortable now. Top player damage as well, 3-0 and 3. Core build online, creating a lot of problems now for Obey to defend their final Phoenix.
That's crazy that Vulcan is really becoming the top pick of this land. Left-hand side, Phoenix is going to get started up. Terror's Blessing plop by Obey. They're in a 5-on-3 situation. Ice Baby is around the corner. Deathwalker, though, happy to be in the midst of everything here as Captain Twink's taking a lot of damage. Wolfie, can he find a target? He can't. There's the Fear No Evil. Maniac in a lot of trouble. Spin to win, tosses in 2 to the Phoenix. Now he's forced to jump away. Wild Hunt, you're a dead little piggy there, Maniac. And Mealsy in a lot of trouble, but it's Twig that falls down first.
Next up on the list is a 2-man taunt into the bramble bush, and Deathwalker comes through. The ground and pound is on, and another member falls down the way. Vote picks up Prime, and they don't care about that Phoenix no more, Husey. You know why?
Titan's their target.
Titan's the target.
Emilzy sitting in the fountain, taunted out their rival. A little bit of BM here. They're going to be careful they don't throw. Emilzy actually picks up a kill, but the Titan's pretty much dead there. A nice little return kill at the end there for Emilzy. A little bit of cockiness from Rival, but still a pretty clean game.